results from actual ball games, which, as you know, that's my favorite. That's my favorite. Hey, you know what? Doggone. All right, I'm going to make a list here, or I'm going to make a note. Favorites versus non-favorites. Okay, that's one of those topics that if it came up another time of year, I would say something like, hey, well, let's save that for a slow time of year, maybe in the dog days of summer or into the summer. Well, that's what it is. And so we probably ought to make that list at some point here. If it's not just me, but kind of show wide favorites versus non-favorites. Like real games with a score, a final score, and an actual result of something that happened in a real game. That's a favorite. That's definitely a favorite. Let's do a non-favorite. Okay, so if actual games and results is one of our favorites on this show, let's do a non-favorite. A non-favorite would be, I got one. Discussions about mixed drinks and cocktails. That's a non-favorite. Okay, ain't happening. You see what I mean? So we're going to make that list, and it'll be a tried and true and truthful list going forward, and we'll adhere to that. But we don't have to do that today. We might even do that tomorrow because I'll get to see Beaver in person, face to face. A couple of silver spoons. We'll be doing that tomorrow. So maybe we could do that tomorrow. And those kinds of discussions are easier. Speaking of Beaver, I got something to discuss with my man Beav. Happy Monday to you, Beaver. How are you?
I'm good.
So they were out, as you were told, of the frozen peach lemonade at Chick-fil-A. They were out of it, you were told.
Yeah, and I think I was lied to.
You just think that it's like, I don't fool with that. I don't want to fool with that stuff. What do you think it is? Like there's some frozen peaches, they hadn't thawed them out or something, B? What do you chalk that up to, huh?
I think the gentleman just wanted it all to himself. Which this whole Chick-fil-A, the whole Chick-fil-A experience, because apparently everything's an experience these days. You can have a good bowling experience or a restaurant experience or a drive-through experience. So let's talk about the Chick-fil-A drive-through experience. Because, I don't often go to the Chick-fil-A. But so what you speak of, you started talking about this peach lemonade was it Thursday?
Yeah, I think so. I think Thursday.
Man, it took 24 hours, but eventually it burrowed its way into my brain space. And I says to myself, because Friday you went off at 1. So it's like, well, I got a little extra time. I'm going to go get something to eat because I normally don't go get lunch.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll go to Chick-fil-A. I'm going to get that peach lemonade. I'm going to get that peach lemonade. I'm going to send Matt Wyatt a picture. And I'm also going to send him a video of me pouring it out in the parking lot if it's not good. So anyway, I go through there. And so I'm sure the regulars have the Chick-fil-A menu memorized by now. Well, I don't. Well, here's the thing. The one around the corner, you get in the drive-thru and it's covered, but there's 3 columns before you get to where the menu is.
Okay, yeah.
Well, this young gentleman was standing outside, and he was standing beside the first column. So I was nowhere near a menu.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, let me get the chicken strips. I'm not sure what they come in. And he's like, 3 or 4. And I said, okay, give me 3. And I said, and do you have the peach lemonade? And he looked at me like I was crazy, Matt Wyatt.
He did? Said, like he was unaware of it? He acted completely unaware and confused. He said, peach? I said, yeah. And he goes, nah. Not no, sir, with an explanation, just a nah.
Mm-hmm. Like he was perplexed by this peach.
Well, I mean, I can confirm that it is a thing at Chick-fil-A. It absolutely is a thing. The frozen peach lemonade. Look it up. It's a thing. Beaver, what you're saying is you had some manager back there going, man, this peach lemonade stuff is good. And they go, hey, we got somebody who wants peach lemonade. No, we're out. Meanwhile, he's like, wow, this is great.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Because it is a limited time only deal. So I assume that he took that very, very strongly. Well, this is limited. I certainly not going to give this man out here all this limited supply before I get mine.
That is one theory. Did you get the picture that I sent you? I think it was the same day. It hit us at the same time, Beaver, but I didn't go and get the lemonade or ask for it. I just went and got the peach milkshake that I had gone on and on about on the radio. I had to have one. You know what, Beaver? It was worth the drive to go down there and sit in line. Oh, and here's the deal. I don't know about where you are in the metro, but where I live in my hometown of Tupelo, Mississippi, the All-American city, the birthplace of Elvis. It's our claim to fame, Beav. Elvis's birthplace. But I know that here, or there in Tupelo, we are just in a weather cycle that it is months of this. March, April, May, now in June, it just continues where we might get 1 day or 2 days without rain. But, buddy, that's it. And when it does rain, we don't get rain. We don't get just rain. We get a flood. No joke. Tupelo, the city of Tupelo, sent out messages to everybody that lives up there. I don't know how they do that, but they send out these text messages. I guess you sign up for them somewhere, and it says, "Hey, I'm gonna summarize and put it in non-technical, legal type language." They basically said, hey, remember that flood we got for those 3 days in March? That was the most rain we've ever gotten in a 3-day period of time. Guess what? The last 3 days, we just got more. We got more the last 3 days than we did in those 3 days. We've raised the bar. And there were areas you couldn't go, and there was flooding and all this kind of stuff. And I tell you that to say this. So when I went to that Chick-fil-A drive-thru, Beaver, on Friday afternoon, with the express purpose of getting that peach milkshake, although I did go ahead and get some food. While I'm sitting in line, the bottom fell out. I'm talking, it was raining so hard, you could almost not see 2 to 3 cars in front of you in the waiting line of the drive-thru. That kind of rain. And guess what? Guess what was happening while it was raining like that? Those 2 little girls underneath the awning wearing their rain suits were still pecking away, taking everybody's order right in the middle of it. They sure were. They did not go running for the indoors. They stayed right under that awning and just kept right on taking orders. And you say, well, Matt, they were under an awning. No, you don't understand. No. This is the kind of rain, it doesn't matter what you're standing under. You're still getting soaked somehow. There's water going everywhere. And they just kept right on. I appreciated that. I got my peach milkshake, Beaver. Peach milkshake 2025, number 1. I might get number 2 this afternoon. And it's worth it. Worth every bit of it. Beav, hold on. This is not me encouraging you or imploring you to go get the peach milkshake. It's not what this is. I'm just, A, telling you the truth, Beaver, and B, I'm just planting a little seed there. That's all I'm doing.
Well, let me tell you, just like it took 24 hours last week to get the peach lemonade. It burrowed into my brain because you kept talking about it. And I didn't have any interest in it the day we spoke of. Yeah. But the next day, the story, just told this story. But on top of your words, Will just texted, and he refers to the Chick-fil-A peach lemonade as, quote, grade A, tier 1 work. So I am getting curiouser and curiouser.
I mean, but those words that Will sent, that's good, is what you're saying? It's a good thing?
Yeah.
All right, Will, you're backing it up. Attaboy. How about Will weighing in early on here in this discussion on the Country Pleasing text line? Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It's the best. It is. And, you know, if you want to make Chick-fil-A better, they need to start serving breakfast options with some Country Pleasing sausage. But don't ask me. I mean, hey, I'm just telling you the truth. All right. We got sports to get to. You also have sports that are going to happen here today while we're on the air. Arkansas and Murray State are going to play an elimination game in the College World Series. One of the more interesting games we will have had so far. Is it just me, or some of this has been boring? Some of this College World Series has been boring. I don't know about, and maybe this won't be, but it's going to be Arkansas and Murray State at 1 Central. They're going to throw out first pitch for that. And so we'll track it a little bit in the second hour, I should say, of the show. You got that. There's more to get to. There's some news out there shaking in the college football world that makes you go, Now, it's out on the West Coast, but it's regarding revenue sharing, restructuring of athletics departments, all that kind of stuff. And we'll hit it in the headlines coming up, which will be brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank. You can put that on your calendar. That's coming up in a few minutes. Oh, and another thing. You can also put it on your calendar for a couple of weeks, I guess less than 2 weeks now. The customer appreciation sale. Yeah, not this week, but next, the end of next week. The customer appreciation sale at Camper Corral there in Gluckstadt and Madison. Y'all know where Camper Corral is. You see it right beside the interstate up there. Gluckstadt exit. They're going to have their customer appreciation sale on Thursday through Saturday, June 26th through the 28th. So June 26th, 27th, 28th. That'll be the end of next week. And as a part of that sale, they're going to have huge discounts on all the parts they sell, parts for all kinds of campers, RVs, those 3 days. Customer appreciation sale, 26th, 27th, 28th, Camper Corral. Also during that time, that they're going to have anywhere between 25 and 40% off MSRP on most of their RVs and campers. And during those 3 days, if you buy a new or used RV, you're entered in to the drawing for one of those roof package upgrades for your RV, which can run anywhere between $6,000 and $10,000. And right now we're planning on doing a radio show there at the end of next week too. So put that on the calendar also. That also is coming up. So it's going to be a fun month around here. All right. So let me do this. Let's get into the Country Pleasing text line. You can text me on the show and be a part of it that way at 885-3776. You can comment on the live stream if you're on YouTube or Facebook or X, formerly Twitter. Just pop a comment in there. I'll be able to see it, and we'll get that up. So let's see what we've got so far. Here we go. Denzel, White Denzel. He texted the show. He said, I've never seen a golfer need a rain delay in the final round of a major more than J.J. Spawn yesterday. Holy cow. What happened? Oh, he needed it? Oh, I see what you mean. So going back all the way to 2013, he'd had a hard time. He'd been hanging on by a thread and then wins the U.S. Open. Congrats to him, by the way. I didn't watch one single shot of it. I was tuned in to other stuff and doing other stuff. Bill texted the show. He says, Matt, on top of that non-favorite list needs to be, quote, anything to do with soccer or the WNBA. All right. So that's on the non-favorite list for this show. All right. Got it. Noted. Put it on the list. We're going to add that to the list. And I think I have the times that I have watched Caitlin Clark play, I've sort of been entertained by it, but I don't find myself drawn to go find it and turn it on and watch it. And the same would be true for soccer. But the thing about it, I can really appreciate soccer. I can absolutely appreciate it. I think it would probably be, when you're younger, would be a blast to play it. I can't get into it personally because I don't know the rules. I don't know the rules. I don't know what the game is. I don't know what the point. I don't get it in the net. I get that. There's all kinds of other stuff I don't understand. And a good portion of the time it puts me to sleep. So I don't know enough about it. Nick texted the show. He said, Chick-fil-A was much better at North Park 30 years ago, and I will not be told any different. Oh, really?
Now, let me tell you.
What's he
let me
talking
drop
about?
something that I'll drop on you from time to time, Matt Wyatt. But, of course, I'm going to drop it on Nick. Get out of my head. Because, like, remember I told you I don't go to Chick-fil-A that often because it's not what it used to be. And Friday, after I had it, I started thinking very specifically. First, man, no, this sure isn't what it used to be. And it led me to think specifically about the one in North Park.
Okay.
Because I used to have it so often. You know, I was at the mall so often, and I would be there with little C a lot, and we would eat the Chick-fil-A. Upstairs, next to Blockbuster Music, you could go inside and you can get yourself the brand new Counting Crows album that you love, Matt Wyatt. And then you can walk next door and get what back then was a delicious chicken sandwich.
Around here. How'd I do?
Man.
How'd I do?
Oh, that was pretty excellent. One of the best purchases ever in my life was one Saturday where together I purchased Counting Crows, Recovering the Satellites, and Better Than Ezra, Friction Baby together. And then you just walked 10 feet and there's Chick-fil-A.
That a boy.
That's a day. That is a solid day.
That's a day right there. Beeve, help me out. Who was the band from Athens, Georgia? They had that whiny.
R.E.M.?
Yeah, REM. I was going to say they had that whiny song about everybody hurts. But REM. Okay. Beaver, when I was in high school, okay, so you're talking, this would have been pre-95, so early 90s. Okay. I got my first CD player that I could plug into my car. It was not built in to the car that I had. I was driving an old Pontiac 6000. Do you even remember that car? Remember those?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, anyway, this is a four-door Pontiac 6000. It just had a radio in it, you know, and I think it had a cassette player. But I got this CD player thing where you can then convert it and stick it in your car and play CDs. So then I'm like, all right, now I'm going to buy some CDs. And there was this little pop-up music store in some strip mall, one of the two that we had in Prattville at that time, and now there's 100. And I go in, Beef, and I decided that I was going to make my purchases out of the discount bin in this music store. So I'm rifling through the things that they had in there. Beeve, I bought 3 CDs out of that discount bin. Would you like to know what they were?
Yes.
One was an REM CD, an album. Don't know the name of it. I think I pulled it out and bought it, not really knowing who they are, but the cover art got my attention. That's just being honest, okay? The other one was James Taylor Greatest Hits. And the third one, you might want to be sitting down for this, Jim Croce Greatest Hits. Those were the 3, my first 3 CD purchases out of the discount bin at the music store in Prattville, Alabama. I believe to this day, I think in my attic at my house right now, to this day, I have the old, remember like it was like the planner sized thing of CD pages you could flip through and find your CDs in, you know? and it would zip up. And I think that thing's in the attic right now, and those 3 are in there, probably in pristine condition. Because I was not one of these losers, Beaver, who are always scratching their CDs. Hey, Beav, does that classify as old guy radio, what we just did? What I just did?
Yeah, the big CD booklet.
Yes. Big.
I got some thoughts specifically on that CD booklet.
Okay. Specific thoughts on the big CD booklet, the BCB. Coming up. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. Know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. You know, it's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here in the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it
to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com. You go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work.
Starving. Don't worry, he's got a menu full on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at the Zone 105.9.com.
Back with you. Rolling along. We're going to pick it up where we left it off. And I will clue you in and just in case you just tuned in. It's a sports show. Hang on. We're getting there. We're getting there. The whole second hour is going to be almost live sports. I'm not afraid to give you live updates of that Arkansas and Murray State game that'll go on to the College World Series coming up. Now, I will not do play-by-play. That's illegal. I'll give you updates. Totally legal. But somehow, some way, I have forgotten at this point in the previous segment how the stream of conversation / consciousness that got us to talking about my CD purchases out of the discount bin at the pop-up music store in the strip mall in Prattville, Alabama in about 1994 or 5, 3 or 4, somewhere in there. When I was in high school, my car didn't have a CD player, but I got one of those things that you can add to, like you install it. And every time you hit a bump, the CD skips, that sort of deal. Had one of those. And my first 3 purchases, discount bin, I remember them. Dug through it. It was an REM album. I couldn't quite remember what it was a minute ago. I've looked it up, though. And then it was a James Taylor Greatest Hits. And then it was a Jim Croce Greatest Hits. Jared commented on Facebook. He said, "Old Rapid Roy, if you don't know that song, look it up. Rapid Roy, that's Stock Car Boy. Too Fast to Believe. Jim Croce, that's who we're talking about. Always got an extra pack of cigarettes rolled up in his T-shirt sleeve. Yeah. Oh, Rapid Roy. Look that one up. It was on there. Okay, and I've got to bring Beaver back in here because Beaver, the big CD booklet, as you said, you had some thoughts on it. Hey, Beaver, that album, I looked it up. So that album that I purchased out of the discount bin, it would have come out in 91. It was titled REM Greatest Hits at that time. And then they've had like 100 albums. No, it was called The Best of REM, not Greatest Hits. It was called The Best of REM. Came out in 91. The songs on it, there were 16. Pretty Persuasion was number 7. Radio Free Europe was the number 2 song on there. One of my favorites, number 6, Don't Go Back to Rockville. The name of the song's Rockville. But you remember that song, Don't Go Back to Rockville? You ever heard that?
Nope.
Might you look it up later? Might you?
I might.
I might. So that's a good one. What were you going to say, though, about the big CD booklet, like the one I have in my attic?
Well, first off, I'm going to talk about this Best of REM from 91.
Yeah.
That means it had nothing from Automatic for the People on it.
That's right.
You didn't get Everybody Hurts.
No, you didn't.
Or Man on the Moon.
No. Nope.
What were we doing at that time? What was the Best of REM at that point without those?
Well, I was telling you a little bit of it, but like, so here are the 16 song titles and see if any of them ring a bell. Okay. 1 through 16, I'll go in order. Carnival of Sorts, Perfect Circle, South Central Rain, Pretty Persuasion, Can't Get There From Here, Fall on Me, Cuyahoga, Finest Work Song, Radio Free Europe, Talk About the Passion, Rockville or Don't Go Back to Rockville, Green Grove, The Rushes, Driver 8, I Believe, The One I Love, and here you go, Beaver, finally, number 16, It's the End of the World as We Know It. So that's what was on there.
The song that nobody ever has been able to decipher all the lyrics for.
To this point. That's about right. That's about right. RT texted the show and he said, "Everybody Hurts is awful." What did I call it? A whiny song earlier? I'll stand by that. John in Rolling Fork texted and said, before the CD booklet, there was the cassette tape case as big as a medium-sized suitcase. He also texted me earlier and he said, no, I'm sorry, that was last week. Okay, sorry, got it mixed up. J-Rock texted the show. He said, showing my age, I had the briefcase full of 8 tracks. Wow, really? Gino said that was a good 3 CD purchase right there. James Taylor, Jim Croce, and REM. He said Jim Croce was great. He was great. Tragic accident, passed in a plane crash. All right, over to the phones, the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer. Got Jeff on line 1. What's up, Jeff?
Man, I know every song on that Best of REM album. That's a great album, dude.
Yeah.
Need to get Beaver to listen to that. I mean, that's good music.
Well, here's what I know about Beaver, Jeff. Is there's a chance he will listen to it if you and I just talk about it positively, but if we implore him to do it, then he won't do it out of just his rebellious nature. Does that make sense?
Well, Driver 8, in my opinion, is the best song on that entire collection. That's just, I'm an old school REM guy, graduated 85 from high school, and so, I listened to all of that old stuff back in the day, back when we used to go to WC Don's in Jackson, Mississippi, and actually, REM actually played in that bar one time during their college heyday. So,
oh, really?
It was an awesome time, man. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Yeah, Driver 8. RT likes it also, Driver 8. Yeah, great song. Y'all look it up. Hey, B, what was this Nick was saying to you? He said he preferred Camelot music himself.
Yeah, Camelot. There was Camelot, and that was for me, that was the original. And then Blockbuster Music, they came in upstairs. I preferred Camelot too, but sometimes you could find an album for $1 cheaper at Blockbuster.
Oh, really? I wonder why that was. That might have just been like old school competition back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where Blockbuster's like, hey, charge less. We'll make less, but let's get them in here. Hey, because really and truly, B, that is one thing about the old school back in the day, quote unquote, music store, because they were selling CDs and cassette tapes, right? And if you could just get somebody in there, the chance that they would make the offhand peripheral purchases of other stuff is you'd come in there for something specifically, but if you get them in the store, you got a whole better chance they buy something else too. It's a lot. It was just a different, like retail was a different, I think, mindset and approach than what it is now. Had to be. Hey, let me see what Grumpy said here. He texted the show and said, Matt, what a weekend of golf. JJ Spawn, U.S. Open's always terribly tough, but between the weather and the course, wow, he said. JJ, poor start. Incredible birdie finish. Yeah, that long putt. He said, and then to find out yesterday morning at 4 a.m., he was at CVS getting his daughter some medicine. He's playing in the U.S. Open. What a dad. I mean, isn't that something? You know, Grumpy, we do lose sight sometimes of, even the pro athletes. I mean, they are just people. We sort of put them in this place in our head because of where they are and how talented they are, the position they're in, and how much money they make, that they're somehow really a lot different, and they really are not. I remember a few years ago, I say a few years ago, I mean, this is maybe like 10 years ago. But there was the Champions Tour, Senior Tour event on the coast at Fallen Oak. And so, I mean, you had the Bernard Langer and Rocco Mediate and, that whole crew and tons of, I played in the Pro-Am. I went down there for it and got to the incredible privilege of getting to play in the Pro-Am, and my pro was Fred Funk. I mean, so it's people like that, you know. And I remember the tournament was going to start the next day. We played on that last day in the Pro-Am. That night, I was staying in a hotel down there, and I went into D'Iberville to, I think it was a Walgreens or something like that on the corner. And I'm on one aisle, like I'm picking up Gatorade or something. And I bump into this guy. We say, "Hey, how are you?" He's like, "Hey, how are you?" "I'm good." You know. And I look, and it's Scott Hoke, you know, long time pro golfer, winner on the PGA Tour. Of course, he was on the Champions at that time. And there's Scott Hoke and his wife. And you just think, I don't know, from a golf standpoint, they're all just normal people. They really are. I mean, you know, the likes of Tiger and Phil, that's rarefied air. Rory. I mean, the rest of them, man, they're just regular folks. They go to Walgreens and CVS and pick up medicine for their kids just like the rest of us do. If they don't, something's wrong with them. And who was it that said something earlier about the coverage of recruiting this time of year as opposed to the actual games? I can't remember which texter it was, but said put that on the non-favorite list, and that is covering like 2026 recruiting right now while the College World Series is going on. Says, I don't care. I will put it on the list. All right, headlines coming up. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, you know, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I had this opportunity come up to a friend of mine that was an agent here at Farm Bureau that, you know, he said this may be something I like to do because he knew I was involved in the community, and what we do, we're supporting the community. We're doing stuff to protect the members of our community. I've been here almost a decade, and what we do, we help people every day through the products we sell. We make recommendations to them, stuff to protect their assets, protect their lives, their families, and, you know, we're local. We're local people. Everybody that works in this office has grown up here, lived here, played ball in this community. I've coached in this community, been on the park boards, the sports league boards, the booster club boards. The community is what's important here in Farm Bureau. We push the local community. We're a Mississippi company. That's a Washington School team ball from 2019. Greg Wallace was the head coach then, and him and I were really good friends. I've been in Greenville my whole entire life. My family's been here. This is home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support the people of Washington County, protect them. I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County. We are the home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now.
The Zone 1059 and coming to you worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. This Reaction Monday. Good to be with you in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! The home team. They are your home team. Let's do it. Headlines.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines on the show brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank, right here in the state of Mississippi. You can find them online at mortgagemanms.com. Anything mortgage related, buying, refinancing, that's where you want to go. Places like here in the metro, Starkville, Oxford, Tupelo, Memphis, all points in between. That's where you want to go. All right, so college baseball, you saw the results of the weekend. Notably on Saturday night, LSU whipping up on Arkansas. So LSU moved to the winner's bracket, Arkansas into an elimination game that they will play first pitch in about 15 minutes or so from right now out in Omaha between Arkansas and Murray State. On the other side of the bracket, it's the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers that are in the driver's seat. They are the clear leader in the clubhouse right now after another win, and don't play again until Wednesday, 2-0 right now in the College World Series on that side of the bracket. But that's what's going on in Omaha for the time being. Major League Baseball, let me give you an update. The lowly Colorado Rockies got their 14th win of the year. They killed the Braves yesterday, 10-1. And the Rockies are now 14-57. Way to go, Braves. Meanwhile, I've sort of become a de facto Tampa Bay Rays fan. Not scared to admit it. Just telling y'all the truth. Some of you don't care. I'm just telling you the truth. And it's all because of Jake Mangum. I know some people that are probably disgusted with people like me that go, how dare you say you're rooting for a team and the only reason you even watch them is because there's an individual player you like. You got to be a better fan than that. Well, whatever. Shut up. I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm a big Jake fan. And Jake Mangum, local boys hit it big. Got called up at 29 years old. He's batting .300. He had another hit. He had another ribby. He had another stolen base. He scored another run. And the Tampa Bay Rays won 9-0 in New York over the Mets. And they swept the 3-game series with the Mets at Citi Field in New York. And now moved back into second place. And tonight they're back at home in Tampa hosting the Orioles. And so Westberg is back. Former Diamond Dog is back for Baltimore from an injury. It took him out a little bit, but he's back. And so tonight when you watch the Rays and the Orioles, former college teammates at Mississippi State, Jordan Westberg and Jake Mangum going at it. Really looking forward to watching that tonight. And finally, okay, over to football. Listen to this. I think you need to pay attention to this. This headline from the state of California, but it is in regards to college athletics, particularly college football. Listen, Jim Knowlton, who's been California's athletics director, the Cal Bears, okay? Cal Berkeley, the California Bears. He's been Cal's athletic director for the past 7 years, announced his retirement today. Story said that, he led Cal's athletic department through an extraordinary time of change and challenge in intercollegiate athletics, all this kind of stuff. He became their AD in 2018, so several things happened. One, COVID, then the shutdown of the Pac-12, and they all went elsewhere. All that stuff, right? Right. But here is what is more to the story. And it's being reported widely by media out there who cover Cal and Cal athletics and really just college sports. Ron Rivera, the former NFL player and former NFL head coach, his alma mater is Cal, this school. And recently, the university hired Ron Rivera to come in there and be the quote-unquote general manager of football. And it recently came out that Ron Rivera, the general manager of Cal football, has not been told and was not to report to the athletics director. Ron Rivera, the GM of Cal football, was to report directly to the chancellor of the university. So, again, look at the timeline. Unprecedented change. We're going to pay players. They signed the thing last week. Revenue share up to 20 point whatever million. Okay. That the quote unquote athletics department / university owes to its athletes. They can decide how to do it. Ron Rivera, the general manager of Cal football, who doesn't even report to the athletics director, reports directly to the chancellor. And here we are days after that, longtime athletics director Jim Knowlton at Cal, retiring. Done. I'm out. I think it's significant because what I believe is it won't be the first one we see where an athletics department at a major university will totally change its structure. They will get rid of some positions in that athletics department, and other highly paid employees are going to be wedged out. And especially some of those that, frankly, the school or its boosters are going to look at it like, you know what? We don't need an athletics director to have his hands on football. We're going to approach it like it's an NFL franchise because we're paying the players anyway. That's how we're going to procure most of the talent anyway. We're either going to pay them to come here out of high school JUCO, or we're going to pay them to transfer here from another school. So we got to balance budgets. We're going to have salary caps based on what we can afford. We're going to have a general manager who's over that just for the sport of football. There's no point for that general manager to have two bosses when he really only needs one, and that'll be the chancellor of the university itself. So Cal has done it. And I'm just saying, I'm reading the tea leaves that part of the result of that is the athletics director at Cal went, you know what? I'm out. Y'all don't need me. I'm out. Who knows? I may have told him to retire. And so I find it very, very interesting. And I'm curious as to, who will be the next that goes that route. All right. Those are your headlines brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Luminate Bank. All right. I'm backtracking here, but I got to get this in. Sven My man Sven, he's out here on YouTube on the live stream. He commented on YouTube. He said, guess what? The SEC should celebrate their last hoops title for a long time. The Big East has no football and will spend the whole $20.5 million of this rev share on basketball. He says that's 5 to 6 times more than any SEC team. Basically what he's saying, what they'll spend on basketball. It's a good point. If they have it. If they have that and want to spend that. And then he said, and for everyone outside of Vanderbilt comes Title IX into play. There's no spending $17 million out of that $20 million on football, lawsuits being coming. And by the way, he says out of the $2.8 billion for players, getting lawyers making $515 what? The last few numbers on there, Sven, I got lost, but I get what your gist is. I get the gist of it. I just got lost in the numbers there towards the end. Now, he has a strong opinion on Sankey. He said Sankey is an idiot. He only wants what his bosses at Disney want, more money in their pockets. And then said he ruined the SEC. How about that? Blind Squirrel Sports gave us something to ponder. He said, I read somewhere that UCF might be better set up for this era of NIL than Florida, Miami, and FSU due to an influx of $45 million from the Big 12. Now, you said it was maybe Mike Bianchi who wrote that, and if it is, I'd take all that with a grain of salt. Maybe the numbers add up. But, you know, in terms of NIL being in a better position than Florida and Miami, I kind of doubt that. But just because you might have theoretically a little more to spend I don't know that it's necessarily always in a better position. Plus, when you start reading more details, even from legal experts about the new NIL clearinghouse thing that the schools and the university and conferences are going to, you know, legally agree to use and run everything through, it's pretty fascinating now. It may not, certainly above the table, passing it off as NIL, it ain't going to be, it's going to be a lot harder to shove stuff down our throats and pretend as though it's just NIL. They're not going to be able to do that as much. All right. Hour 2 of the show coming up in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there, Murray West. You can find them online, MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I had this opportunity come up through a friend of mine that was agent here at Farm Bureau that, you know, he said this may be something I like to do because he knew I was involved in the community. And what we do, we're supporting the community. We're doing stuff to protect the members of our community. I've been here almost a decade, and what we do, we help people every day through the products we sell. We make recommendations to them, stuff to protect their assets, protect their lives, their families, and, you know, we're local. We're local people. Everybody that works in this office has grown up here, lived here, played ball in this community. I've coached in this community, been on the park boards, the sports league boards, the booster club boards. The community is what's important here in Farm Bureau. We push the local community. We're a Mississippi company. That's a Washington School team ball from 2019. Greg Wallace was the head coach then, and him and I were really good friends. I've been in Greenville my whole entire life. My family's been here. This is home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support the people of Washington County, protect them. I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County. We are the home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Greg, man, off a piece of that.
Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country pleasing sausage, these flavors and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, "Country pleasing, please." They'll know what you're talking about.
Your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but HIMS can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Available now on your favorite podcast platforms. Join four-time NAACP Image Awards winners Sherry Shepard and Kim Whitley. Two funny mamas who talk about life, motherhood, love, singleness, pop culture, dating, or the lack thereof, and everything in between.
You shouldn't be yelling at somebody with a disability. You know my leg wasn't turning quick.
Okay, first of all, when did this word come into use? You've never said the word disability. Not no time have you ever said disability to me.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. See, look at me trying to do it. And you know I had a disability. You know I had the suit was too long. The leg wasn't working. And see, and now look, bam, bam. This is when it gets bad, right here. See, that was what... Oh my God. I love doing this podcast. Something's wrong with you.
Two Funny Mamas podcast, raw, unfiltered, and funny. Download now from your favorite streaming app.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
We are good to go.
With more of the Matt Wyatt Show. Coming to you direct and live at the Zone 105.9 and worldwide.
Now, here we go.
At the Zone 105.9.com.
Ba-da-da-ba-ba. Back with you. Yeah, and you know, boy, this was burying it in the show. And yeah, happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers and dads out there, y'all. Did you have a good one? You have a good one? Hope you did. PT for MSU, he texted us earlier with a picture for proof, and it said, hope you guys had a good Father's Day. I watched the College World Series with my dad and made some homemade ice cream, and it was good. I bet it was. All right. I've got several things. One, there is a comment here from Sven where he's clarifying something he said earlier that really is fascinating to me. I'm coming to that in just a minute. We were adding things to the favorites and non-favorites list of this show, and it was RT who earlier said on the non-favorites, off-season state baseball 2026 recruiting when the College World Series is going on. He said a year away from them going to Omaha. We dealt with the coaching search since February. I need a break. So we're going to put that on the non-favorites list, RT. And I missed it a few minutes ago, and so therefore he has had to wait and wait and wait. Rooster is hanging on the phone line, the Divinity Equipment phone line. The number to call, 897-1059, 897-1059. That's the Divinity Equipment phone line. Rooster patiently waiting. Sorry, I didn't see it earlier, Rooster. That's my fault. Welcome to the show. What's up?
Well, it's okay because it's usual thunderstorm in West Jackson. I'm not outside.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Thunderstorm every day.
Every day. I'm
You
telling
know,
you.
I heard the remark about, every day.
Yeah.
Thunderstorm every day in the month of June. It's in the forecast at least every day.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about pulling for, Jake Mangum and rooting for Tampa Bay. Well, I root for Chicago White Sox.
Okay.
Who in the world roots for the White Sox? But they got Tim Elko, so don't forget about good old Tim Elko.
That's right.
Tim is he's with the White Sox. But listen, the reason to pull for Tampa Bay besides Jake Mangum, had it not been for Tim Elko, Ole Miss would not have won the national championship. No way. Had it not been for Jake Mangum, State would have won the national championship. But the real reason to root for Tampa Bay, and I don't want to be irreverent, is the ghost of Mike Leach.
Okay.
That pirate ship. That's the reason to root for Tampa Bay.
Okay.
That's why one of the reasons I root for him. I get nostalgic every time I think about it.
Gotcha.
And I've never seen that pirate ship. I've never been to Tampa, Florida.
It's really impressive.
I hope to see the pirate ship. Oh, you know it is. And then I think about Mike Leach every time. Have you ever read Swing Your Sword?
No, I haven't.
I hadn't either. So I've got to find that somewhere and read it and make Ray. Is it still called Ray James Stadium?
Raymond James Stadium. Yeah, I think it's still called that. Hey, let me tell you what else you need to read.
Yeah.
Mike Leach.
So that's the reason.
Somebody put together a 2-volume deal. There's a volume 1 and a volume 2. It is books that are full of Mike Leach quotes, comments, and other things people have said about him. And the title of those books is Squib Kick It to a Fat Guy. Volume 1 and Volume 2. And it's really good stuff if you want to just kind of read through some of that.
Okay. Yes, I'm going to mention that. Yeah, but listen, I Google Jake every day to see what his batting average is.
Yeah.
He's at 304. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Let's plug Tim Elko every now and then.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the heads up on that.
I don't think Tim is even batting his weight. But at least he's on the roster. Hallelujah.
Man, he's a home run hitter, a different kind of
But
player.
thanks for mentioning these ex-baseball players. We forget about them. We have a tendency to do that, I guess.
Yeah. Good stuff, Rooster. Hey, I appreciate your
Happy Father's
patience.
Day to you, and happy Father. Oh, that's okay. Like I said, it's raining anyway.
Yep. All right, man. Appreciate you.
Couldn't ride the bike. God bless, guys.
God bless you. Thanks for hanging on. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. So, Blind Squirrel on YouTube, he said, I love seeing Chandler Simpson play for Tampa Bay too. Yeah. So he's back down to what? AAA now. Yeah, he's back down to AAA, but was up for a little while. Former Georgia Tech star who's like, you remember Billy Hamilton? Do y'all remember Billy Hamilton from Taylorsville? You know, he was a great two-sport star in high school who's just blazing speed, okay? And, you know, for a few years he was up in the majors with the Reds. Remember that? Billy Hamilton worked his way up, and he was a guy who his speed was so otherworldly. That's what got him to the major leagues for a period of time. And Billy, I guess, didn't put the bat on the ball quite enough or often enough, but still, he was electric. Anytime he did make contact, they had a hard time throwing him out. And he's doing stuff like, you know, he's on third base and there'd be a pop up to the shortstop and he'd tag and score. You know, there were times where like he'd be on second base, fly ball to the outfield, he'd tag at second base and score. Well, Chandler Simpson is that kind of speed. He's that kind of speed, and he's much younger. I think he came up earlier this year because of all the injuries to the Tampa outfield, and so he came up for a period of time. And as soon as Jake Mangum was healthy, they sent him back down and put Jake. You know, I mean, yeah, okay, I'm biased, but there's Jake. He's batting 300. They got two guys batting over 300 in their lineup. One of them's Jake Mangum. He's just constantly putting the ball in play and constantly driving in runs and making things happen. And so right now they're loving Jake in Tampa. But at some point, Simpson, he gets a little more time under his belt, right? I don't know if it's a contractual situation or not. I just know that at some point he'll be a little more ready. And Simpson, when he becomes an everyday, yeah, he's a light show, man. He's automatic excitement with his speed on a base path. I made the comment earlier about there are some people who might be disgusted at me for, you know, kind of like without even really trying to, just becoming such a Rays fan. I watch every one of their games on the MLB app that I can watch because of Jake Mangum being a part of it. And they're a good team. They're right now, they're kind of back and forth, second place in the division behind the Yankees. They hit for as much power. The rest of their lineup hits for as much power as just about anybody else in the major leagues. They got a good team. And, you know, with Jake being up there, I can't help it. There's an individual that made me sort of a Rays fan. I watched a lot more Rays baseball than I have Braves baseball this year, all because of Mangum. Somebody texted in and said, I'm also guilty, Matt. The only reason I keep up with the Cowboys is Dak. Look, I'm the same way. We'll admit it. Have admitted it over and over. I just admit it. When he got drafted by the Cowboys, I immediately became interested in the Cowboys and have watched as much as I could watch. Now, there for a little while when he was a rookie and all that, I would even keep up with their offseason, you know, read about it and what are they reporting. I don't do that anymore. Okay, it's just become an old hat now. But there have been seldom have there been Cowboys games that I didn't watch. In the, how many years? 9 years that Dak's been in the NFL. You could count them on one hand, the number of Cowboys games I've missed. Why? Because of him. I don't even really still very much like the Cowboys. I just watch them to watch him. I'm being honest. And I will admit, okay, to whomever you are, wonder if you're the same way. It has come full circle on me. It showed me what I didn't understand. Back in the day when Eli Manning came out of Ole Miss, okay, and he goes to the Giants, and all these people around here became Giants fans and started watching the Giants all the time and talking about the Giants, and they're like putting Giant stickers on their car and stuff. And they claim to be Giants. And I used to think, I would scoff at that. Like the only reason you even know the Giants exist is because they got Eli. That ain't, don't give me that. Well, then it happened to me. And it was Dak, right? Because he was our guy in college. And there was no bigger fan of Dak in college than me. And I got a front row seat for all of it. And then he goes off to Dallas, and I'm like, hey, how about them Cowboys? I don't know if others go through that, but I've gone through it. I'm just being honest with you. RT texted and said, Jake's journey to the big leagues and success is by far the biggest story. So he's got more hits than anybody ever in the SEC. And then he said, Elko's praise can wait. Yeah, and again, some of us are, I wouldn't be the same way if I weren't a State fan, right? But I am. Watched Jake for 4 or 5 years. He's the all-time hits leader in the SEC. And then, when he gets drafted by the Mets, you would hear all kinds of stuff like, yeah, they love him, but, he's not the right kind of player. He's not a major league type of player. He plays in the outfield. He doesn't hit a ton of home runs. That's working against him. All these different things. They don't need an average hitter, a guy who hits for average. They don't want that in the well, okay, maybe so in certain spots and certain teams, and the Mets traded him away, who, by the way, not lost on me that he goes and plays at Citi Field against the team that drafted him and traded him away, has a heck of a 3 days, and his team sweeps the Mets. Not lost on me. But maybe one of the best things for Jake is he winds up at a place where when he does get called up, is he's one of two guys who does hit for average in the lineup. They got power in their lineup. And the other thing about the Rays I like about them too is they're not showy, they're not flashy, they don't do a lot of rah-rah, there's not a lot of talk, they're not demonstrative, they're not bat flipping, they don't dress like they're going to a fashion show. Those guys, man, they just show up and play baseball. And they're really good. And, there's power throughout. And he's a guy that they want in there because he's different in that he's constantly putting the ball in play somehow, some way. So it really works for them. It's a really good fit. Somebody else texted in and said, I heard the major league batting average right now is 244. So the average across the major leagues is 244. Yeah, and Jake is piling up, the at-bats and the appearances now where, he's going out here and he's going 1 for 4. In some cases, he'll get a couple of hits, but he's getting a hit a ball game and he's just going to be a 300 hitter. So he's at 301. He was 1 for 4 yesterday, drove in another, scored a run, had a walk. I think he had maybe a stolen base. No, he didn't have one yesterday. He had one the day before. The day before, I think he had 2 hits. Yeah, so no, I'm wrong. He had 2 hits in the series finale against the Red Sox. He was 2 for 4 that day. But in those 3 games against the Mets, his former team, he goes 1 for 4, scores a run, and drives in 2. Okay, 2 ribbies. They win 7-5. Game 2 of the series, he goes 1 for 3 with a double and drives in a run. Also was on base with a walk. They win 8-4. Yesterday, 9-0 shutout. He's 1 for 4, scores a run, drives one in, was on base again with another walk. He's a major league player. I mean, especially in a lineup with other, power hitters. And well, they had him hitting 5th in the lineup yesterday. Mm-hmm. Had him hitting 5th. MSU 1980 texted the show. He said, Matt, I'm the same way about Dak and the Cowboys. I never watched them before Dak got there. I'll be real with you. Before Dak got there, I got sick of the Cowboys. I'm tired of hearing about them. And then he goes, and then I've watched everything that he does. So talking about Jake, RT says he plays baseball the way it's supposed to be played. Much rather watch Jake than some guy just hitting homers. And he says Jake will blow up the stupid analytics ideas. The loss of scoring, scoring other than solo home runs in baseball is baseball's problem. And RT asked, how many home runs did Tony Gwynn and Derek Jeter hit? Yeah, I mean, I guess I could look it up, and those guys hit some. Jake's got one. OPS of 714, batting 301 right now this year. And I don't have... Okay, so here's what we got. If you look at overall stats, okay, he's played in 36 games, okay? He's played in 36 games right now with 123 at-bats. And he's only struck out 18 times in 123 at-bats. He's driven in 18 runs. He's driven in more runs than he's struck out. And one home run, he's got 5 doubles. Okay, and so they project him out this way, is at the same rate, 36 games, 123 at-bats. They project him this year, barring anything else, to go for 82 games, and that would mean 281 at-bats. And they would project him to hit one more home run. So he's got one home run. So the projection based on this trend says he's only going to have 2 home runs this year. See what I mean? So, but when you're like that, you look at what Jake's doing. He makes up for it in every other way possible, including stolen bases, in which I think he's still, is he 10 for 10 or 11 for 11? Like, they can't throw him out. Heck, and a good many of his hits have been slapping it all over the infield and beating it out at first base. And for me, okay, yeah, you want to see the occasional home run. You want to see the occasional home run for sure. Really, from everybody, your teams you watch, you need home run. I mean, that's that. But you mix in there some guys like Jake who are batting 300 and are so Jake is so much better with 2 strikes. It's almost like early in the count, he's a little relaxed and he just kind of swings freely, and he'll chase and swing hard as he can at a first pitch fastball and miss it and all that. But he get 2 strikes on him, he locks in, and he's going to put it in play somewhere more often than not. All right, RT, let me share this with you. So, RT, you mentioned Tony Gwynn, Derek Jeter, past era guys. You're talking about, playing baseball the way it's supposed to be played. I saw this earlier. I'm going to share it with you. On X, or formerly Twitter, now it's X, I only follow... Like, you can count them on your hands, the number of accounts that I actually follow on there. If I want to see something, I'll go look it up. But one of the ones that I do follow is that account called Braves on TBS. And it's a Twitter account with 31.8 thousand followers. And they are constantly, every day, tweeting stuff of old retro Atlanta Braves highlights and happenings on this day in history and stuff from back in the Superstation WTBS days. I find all that interesting because I grew up watching them. Well, today, RT, you probably find this interesting. There were several things that happened on June the 16th, in history for the Braves in different years. One of them was June 16th on this day, 1984. Okay, Reds at Braves, 1984. What could be interesting about June 16th, 84? Well, what it was, they got in a huge fight. There was a guy on the mound for the Braves called Mario Soto. A hitter for the Braves, you'll remember, Claude L. Washington. And in 1984, he was just about the Braves. He was having a great year. You're going to hear several minutes of the lead up to this, and then the fight itself and the way they called it live on TV that day, because what had happened is there was a history. Earlier in the year, Claude L. Washington just kept on hitting home runs off of Mario Soto for the Reds. You remember they used to be in the same division back then, I believe. So in this game, he hits another one against Soto. And the next time he came up, Soto tried his best to hit him in the head with a fastball. Later, his next at bat, Claudell Washington purposefully swung and missed at a pitch and let his bat go on purpose so that it would fly up the field and maybe, just maybe, hit Mario Soto with his bat. Now, he missed him, and it went out there into the dirt. And when we come back, I'm going to play you the audio of when this happened. And you talk about all breaking loose. And on top of that, you talk about two announcers, Ernie Johnson and Pete Van Wieren. I mean, it was almost like they were calling a boxing match. Really incredible. And it was so fun for me to go back and watch it this morning because, honestly, I don't remember that. 1984, June 16th of 1984, I was only about 8 years old. I was doing something else. I missed this and previously didn't know that it happened. Okay, so you got to hear that audio. I'll get that for you when we come back. As we roll along here in hour 2, in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, Farm Bureau, go with the home team. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. You know, it's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here in the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friends. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, 𝐷_West.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough.
Right now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you, I'm Matt, in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance, go! With the home team. They are your home team. Are they playing baseball in Omaha? Yeah, Sven, that's right. They said, Sven said, what did Coach Polk always say? Put the ball in play and then we go from there. I mean, yeah, something... You keep putting it in place, something's got to happen. Right? Zip. Arkansas, Murray State, top of the second. Game going on as we speak, elimination game. Winner moves on to face another elimination game. Loser goes back to the house. Speaking of Sven, this is what he said earlier. He had sent some numbers at the end of one of the previous comments he had on YouTube, and I didn't understand them. And so a little bit of an explanation here. He said, I'm in for about 3,000 court cases in the next 6 months. He said, what I meant is, he said, the only guys who profit from that, he's talking about that $2.8 billion back pay to former athletes and stuff. He said the only guys who really profit from that are the lawyers. He said the lawyers are making $515 million out of that $2.8 billion to what the NCAA gives the players. Yeah, that's pretty eye-opening. Because I guarantee there's fewer lawyers having to split that up than there are actual former athletes going back to 2016, right? Because somebody told us a little bit ago that they knew some that are in on that got like $1,000 to $1,500 players going back to 2016. It's a car payment or two, right? Depending on what it is, if you're making payments. But I mean, that's $1,000, $1,500, but it's like nobody's getting wealthy off what they're doing on the back pay thing. It's this gigantic payback to thousands and thousands of athletes. That's pretty eye-opening right there. It really is. Okay, RT, here's what I mentioned to you. Here's the audio. This day, 1984, Reds at Braves, Mario Soto trying to throw at Claudell Washington. And it's a couple of minutes of it there, so you're going to have to hang on there. But you'll hear actually Ernie Johnson on the Braves broadcast leading into it, and then Washington gets thrown at. Then Washington purposely swings and lets his bat go to see if he could hit the pitcher with it. And here we go.
And this is Claudell's home run leading off the bottom of the first. It was number 9. And he's hit so many off Soto this year. I believe it's 4. It'll play a part in the rest of the game. We'll see that as we move along. He's decked here. Washington knocked down by Soto.
Claudell Washington leads off. He homered off Soto and then was really knocked down by Soto. And Claudell very unhappy about that. And the bat flew out of his hands.
Let's watch it.
Soto
Let's
waves
watch.
to Claudell.
Let's watch here.
Soto and Claudell, there they go. Bill Ardello tackled Claudell, and now both teams are out there. Both teams are out on the field fighting. It was Bill Ardello who came from behind to tackle Claudell, Soto, I don't know if you saw that. Soto kind of waved him on with his hand, and that's all Claudel needed. The bat did not go near Soto. The bat was going towards second base, but I wouldn't be surprised if Claudel is thrown out of the game. We'll see. And now order has been restored. That's Rick Camp, Bob Watson, Jerry Royster holding Claudel. Tony Perez is there just trying to cool down Claudel. Claudel being held by Watson, Tony Perez, and Jerry Royster and Ramirez now.
I'll tell you what almost happened there. Right when Claudel made his first move toward Mario Soto, Soto still had the ball in his hand. He tried to hit Claudel with the baseball, and I think he got plate umpire Lanny Harris a little bit. Might have got him on the left hand, and he threw that ball very hard. It's a wonder that nobody got seriously hurt in there. Claudel is angry, so is Mario. But really, it's Claudel who's the angriest right now.
Claudel homered his first time, then he was flipped by Soto last time up. Washington later struck out and had some looks for Soto, and we followed him in the dugout. He threw his helmet down. He was angry. Joe Torre trying to tell Claudel two things. One, please calm down. We want you in the game. And two, we also don't want you getting hurt. Claudel has been the most valuable Brave. He gets a hand as he leaves from the near sellout crowd. All right, here's a replay.
You can go back and watch it. It was a long clip, and they showed replays of it, and it's just, you never see anything like that, anything like it anymore in Major League Baseball, for whatever reason. But it's a guy who he's hitting home runs off this one pitcher, and so earlier in the game he hits a one, and then the next time up, Soto throws one as hard as he can throw it right at his head. You heard John Sterling there, who's now, the longtime Yankees broadcaster, very well known, John Sterling, but he began on Superstation WTBS with those Braves guys back then. Soto throws it right at his head. He said he flipped him, and that's what he did. He had to basically turn a backflip to get out of the way of the thing. He pops up. You can tell Claudel Washington knew that, the guy's trying to hit me. So then he swings at a pitch, misses it intentionally, and lets his bat go intentionally to see if it wouldn't run out there and hit the pitcher. But he missed him. It goes out to second base. So then it's odd. Washington began walking, not charging the mound, but kind of walking in the direction of the mound as if he were going to go to get his bat, knowing good and well he don't want to get his bat. He's just trying to get out here in the vicinity of this pitcher so he can, tie him up and let's fight. The whole time, the catcher's following him out there. The umpire's following him out there. Soto's holding on to the ball. When he gets about 5 feet from him, here he goes. Like, he takes his helmet off. He's headed for him. But as soon as he took a step, the catcher tackled Claudel Washington. While he's being tackled by the catcher, by the umpire, the first base coach comes running in there. Soto has the ball in his hand from 5 feet away. He throws a fastball and hits somebody with it. Like he's trying to hit Claudel Washington. You got to go back and watch the replay over and over again. It's really, you don't ever see that stuff anymore. And like Ernie Johnson, Pete Van Wieren, John Sterling, it's like they're calling a boxing match when you hear it. Now, to say, when I shared that on X earlier, that post, I loved watching it. This is what I said. Okay, it echoes exactly what we talked about on this show back when the regionals were going on for college baseball. This is what I said. Show this to some of your college teams. I'm not saying that it's condoned, but the point is this. There was a time when men played baseball, they didn't talk as much, they didn't gyrate and gesture like strutting peacocks, and sometimes an actual fight broke out, and it was all sort of respectable. And that was the point. Is that, we are inverse of what was going on in baseball in 1984. We're inverse. Back then, no bat flips, no bowing up, No shooting arrows from second base after a double in the second inning, and shaking your rear end, yelling and screaming at each other and staring at each other on the way to the dugout. That stuff just wasn't happening. Okay, but what did happen was every now and then, like the fuse was lit, they'd pop off and here we go. We're not talking about it. I'm not telling you I'm going to kick your butt. We don't say a word. It's just all of a sudden we're fighting. And it was serious. And I'm not condoning fighting. Sure, you would love to avoid fighting. I'm just saying it's a little bit more respectable to every now and then things just develop into a fight. As opposed to what we get, like if you watch a Tennessee baseball game, it's coaches chest bumping an umpire. It's constantly you're yelling and screaming and bowing up and cussing at the opposing players and bat flipping after a walk and all this mess like strutting peacocks, and wouldn't afraid to lay a finger on each other. Like Tennessee will come out of the dugout, they'll just go to the baseline and stop. And it's just not respectable. This is an example. This thing I just told you about here that happened on this day in 1984, it is an example of what it kind of used to be like. And I'm not saying it's all perfect and rosy and good, but heck, you can respect it. You can respect it. I can anyway. All right, a little bit of time left with you when we come back on this Monday. Your texts, your comments, your calls, get them in here. I'm Matt in the Bureau. Staying connected to you because of C Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. C Spire, customer inspired. Check them out at cspire.com. Back after this.
Y'all heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. Say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. murraywest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sauces, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast, walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here, leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area. The blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck,
.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. 2 things. 1, baseball game going on right now in Omaha, College World Series, elimination game between Arkansas and Murray State. And it is 1-0 Arkansas. Arkansas batting in the top of the 3rd. They're up 1-0, but they have runners on 2nd and 3rd with 1 out in the inning right now. Another update. I'm going to read to you really quickly here what RT texted me about behavior in youth baseball, and then I've got a guest. RT said, you realize how upset I was when my 12-year-old lefty son was pitching in an all-star game. South Haven hit a pop-up that our right fielder missed, and the runner was doing a dance down there on base. I had to leave before I said something to their coach. I was livid. Why do these coaches let these players act like this? I'm going to coach the right way just to prove this point. He says, what happened to society? He said, I'm glad we won 7-1. He struck out 10 of those idiots. He said, I wanted to fight. And then he said, don't ever think that South Haven is Mississippi. The moms are worse than the dads. Jeering my son on the mound. And I will say this. It's one thing if you mess with me, but if you mess with my young'un, I might just lose it. I know somebody else who's that way. Her name is the homecoming queen, Annabeth. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Is that true for you? It's one thing to mess with you, but mess with your baby.
Well, yeah, but Mary Liddy doesn't play baseball, so I think we're good.
Yeah. Hey, well, welcome to the show.
Hey, yeah, good to be here. Is Beaver here?
He is.
Hey, Beaver.
He may be on the phone.
He's on the phone.
He may be on the phone. So
happy Father's Day.
Yeah, thank you.
A day late, and to all the fathers out there, and to my dad.
Yeah.
You're a good daddy, Matt.
Well, thank you.
You're a very good daddy.
Father's Day. I feel like many fathers are like, you don't have to get me stuff. Don't buy me stuff, for Father's Day. Just let's spend a little time. Let's have some good food, and like y'all were traveling. I was like, just get home safely.
Yeah,
That's all
we
I
were
want.
traveling. We were traveling.
Hey,
but we did bring you something really fun.
Oh, you did?
It was very random, but I knew you would like it. It was just a small happy.
So the bread from French Camp.
Yes. So we traveled to Vicksburg this weekend for the Miss Mississippi competition. Okay. And so on the way, there was a detour on the Natchez Trace. And everybody gives me a hard time because I like to take the Natchez Trace all the way from Tupelo to Vicksburg. It's my favorite way to go. So when there was a detour, I thought, oh, no. So we went to French Camp. That's where the detour was. And we went in and we bought homemade bread from a store they had there and a really neat restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what was a little jar of
sorghum molasses.
molasses.
Yeah, buddy.
But the lady at the store told me that was actually made in Bruce, Mississippi, and they just sell it at their store. They were really sweet.
That's not too terribly far from there, though.
No, not far.
Well, look, that's 2 days in a row I've eaten some of it on that bread.
You love it.
It's great.
The bread had
really
to stay. We had to keep it in a cooler because she said there were no preservatives in it. It's really healthy. So there you go.
Great. That's great. Yeah, it's a great gift. You know, a gift you can eat. That's a really good gift.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell everybody about the Miss Mississippi pageant. How'd it go?
It went well. Everything went really well. You're supposed to call it competition now.
I'm sorry, the Miss Mississippi competition.
We still say pageant, but it's correctly said competition now. It was good. A girl named 𝐌𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢 won, and she has a neat story. I don't know a lot about her, but she was actually born in Ukraine and was adopted.
Wow.
And has grown up here in Mississippi. So she's the new Miss Mississippi. It was a great show. Saw a lot of sweet folks. It's put on by all volunteers. Of course, I'm biased because my dad is one of those volunteers, but it was a really, really good time. Happy for her and really happy for all the girls.
Yeah.
Had a lot of great competitors in it, but we had fun.
Yeah. And my man, Desmond Purnell.
It was so fun to meet Desmond.
He emceed it. Desmond is from Grenada.
Yeah.
Played a little football at Mississippi State in college and then went into, television and broadcasting after college. And he started out at local television in North Mississippi.
Yeah.
I believe in Columbus.
He said Columbus and then in Tupelo.
He
Was
might
he
have,
here or something?
he might have spent a little time in Tupelo at one time. And then his career really took off. The next thing, he I don't know what sequence, what order it was in, but at one time, he was a sports anchor at a big TV station in Dallas. And then he began working for the NFL Network. He covered the Cowboys for the NFL Network. So like in the summers, I think this was pre-DAC. It might have overlapped a little bit, but in the summers you would like turn on the NFL Network to watch training camp coverage.
And there's Desmond.
Yeah, it's Desmond. He did the Cowboys.
He was great. He was really good. Mary Lydia and I went up and introduced ourselves, got to meet him afterwards, and he was so nice.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you got to talk to him.
Yeah.
We called you. He was a great guy. He's got a great voice and a great personality. He was a great guy. So.
Okay, and then I saw a picture.
Yeah.
That was, I think, was on Facebook of the winner. What's her name again? Help me.
𝐌𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬
signing her contract.
Yeah, the day after the competition, they go to the Miss Mississippi office and they sign a contract, and it just goes through what their responsibilities are for the year, and I'm assuming it goes over all the scholarship. You know, Mississippi gives more scholarship money than any other state in the whole nation with their program, so that's neat. So I guess that's what you do. I don't know. I've never signed a Miss Mississippi contract.
Okay, but what does she do next?
Well, she'll prepare to go to Miss America, and she will start making, after that, if she wins, she'll go on to be Miss America. But if she does not, you know, we'll be excited for her to be Miss Mississippi the rest of the year, and she'll make stops all over the state. And
so the Miss America competition is next.
Yes. I don't know the date, so don't ask. I have no idea.
That's in Orlando?
I think that's in Florida. It used to be in Atlantic City back in the day.
Yeah.
That's where I used to go and watch it with my family.
Is Atlantic City still a big deal? I never hear anything about it anymore.
I don't know. I mean, was it ever a big deal?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I used to hear about it more, I guess.
I guess so. But we went several times when it was in Atlantic City. It was fun. My dad goes to the Florida one, so.
Mm-hmm.
But it was fun. Lots of talent. Huge crowd in Vicksburg. There were a ton of people there, so it was fun.
Yeah.
You watched it on TV?
Yeah, the television presentation, that was really good. Music was good. Singers were great.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
All of that stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It was a good time. And then we got back to you on Father's Day.
Yeah, and on the night of the pageant, which would have been what? I'm sorry, of the competition, Saturday night.
It's hard not to say pageant. We still say pageant, but.
Well, I got to bed a lot earlier than y'all did.
Yeah, we went to bed a little late. There's a party after the pageant where every girl gets some type of scholarship. Every competitor, actually contestants are now called delegates.
Delegates.
Every delegate gets an award. So they have a big party afterwards, and you go up and get your award. And
Okay.
yeah, there you go. Am I boring you?
No, well, that makes sense though. No wonder the ones that don't win seem still relatively happy.
Well, they all get some type of award or scholarship, and so that's good. They all work hard.
Yeah. Well, great. All right. So there's your Mississippi competition report. There's your recap.
There's your recap
for 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And the Monday show is in the books. I was telling Beav I'm going to get to be there with him tomorrow at the home.
Oh, yeah. You'll get
Farm
to see
Bureau
him tomorrow.
Insurance Studio. Yep.
Yeah.
Tell
him I said, hey, he didn't hear me today.
Yeah, he didn't hear it. He's busy. And last week, so you remember I bought that box of these new Little Debbie things they came out with.
Did he like them?
Nope. He was the same way as me.
Bad review from both?
Yep.
2 thumbs down?
He had basically the same reaction that I did, which was took a bite of it, and it's not like bleh, repulsive. It's just, no, I don't want this.
Oh.
I do not want that. And he threw the box away.
Oh.
That has never happened before.
I've never heard of that from both of you.
It was just it wasn't good.
Oh, no.
It wasn't good. So we really...
Well, you need to go find something else and take with you.
Well, you know what it is proof of, though, is that in trying to come up with new things and new variations, inevitably you're going to come up with some bad stuff.
Let's
every
just
now and
stick with the original. It doesn't get much better than an oatmeal cream pie.
That's it. The original OCP. I think Beaver probably agrees with that. All right. Well, look, for those tuning in, we'll do it again tomorrow. See kind of how things go. The update on the baseball game between Murray State and Arkansas. It's an elimination game. And it's 1-0 Arkansas. As I mentioned, they were up 1-0, runners on second and third with no outs.
Oh, wow.
And Murray State did get out of it without giving up any more runs. In this game, Murray State's the home team. They're now batting in the bottom of the third. But we got a 1-0 ball game right now. Arkansas on top. It's an elimination. Loser's headed to the house. Winner gets to move on and face another elimination game. And so things are rolling in Omaha. Annie, it's good to talk to you on the radio.
Thanks for letting me stop by.
You don't need an invitation to come be on this show. It's an open invitation.
Okay, thanks.
If you walk in and put on the headset, then it's go time. Let's just do it. Don't wait for me to officially ask you.
Okay, Matt.
All right.
All right.
She's HQ. I'm Matt for Beaver and all of us here on the show. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. See you tomorrow. See ya.